Welcome to the Catbird Quilts. I'm Kathy Martin, and in today's video, I have a fabric pull for you for a new project that I'm starting, and it was a struggle. And of course, I have a lot to say about it, so stay with me. My friend Jennifer and I have decided to do a new project. And we're going to make the same quilt. She's going to do it with a fabric bundle, and I'm going to make the same quilt with shirts. And so we're doing this for our own enjoyment and entertainment. We're stretched for entertainment around here, and also for educational purposes. But we decided we were going to do a baby quilt. And as we were talking about it, we were trying to figure out what pattern and trying to figure out what fabric. We've all been down this road, like, which comes first, the fabric or the pattern? And so she chose the Wildflower bundle from AGF, which is Art Gallery Fabrics. And it's one that was curated by Christina West of Kindred Quilt Company, and love her. She is so great. So check her out if you haven't already. She's on Instagram, Kindred Quilt Company. And it is a beautiful, oh my goodness, beautiful fabric bundle. And so Jennifer got the bundle, and the fabrics that spoke to her were, there was an aqua teal and a coral. And so she got that put together. I have some similar fabrics in my stash, and I kind of pulled those out, and we were not trying to exactly duplicate, because obviously I'm not going to be able to exactly duplicate what she's making, because I'm going to be using shirts. And that's the beauty of using shirts. It's going to be totally unique, and no one will be able to make the exact same quilt that I'm making, which is great. And so she's ahead of me in the process, and we settled on the quilt pattern Luminaries. And let me just stop for a second and say, Luminaries. Oh my goodness. I love them. And I have wonderful associations from my childhood. Our neighborhood would make them at Christmas time. And of course we did. Back then, there was no go to Hobby Lobby or Joann's and buy 50 white paper bags. It was save milk jugs for the whole fall and take your crappy craft scissors. Crappy craft scissors. That should be the name of some craft scissors. Crappy craft scissors. And saw the top off. You know, it's all jagged, like you'd go to put the candle in and you'd like cut your hand. It's awful. But they really, even with the handle, they turned out really pretty. And the neighborhood would just be lit up at Christmas time. And so I have these wonderful associations for this word, Luminaries. And by the way, if you aren't familiar with Luminaries, be careful if you Google it, because you can get down the rabbit hole quickly and deeply. And so I'm hoping this is a cross-cultural reference. But anyway, Luminaries, white bag, sand in the bottom, candle in a row, lovely holiday. And so I just had these wonderful feelings. And Jennifer is a very experienced, wonderful quilter and sewist. And so she's ahead. And so she starts making the quilt and realizes almost immediately that it was really more, the quilt pattern was going to require more work and time than I have as a full-time working pharmacist and part-time quilter. And so the day that we talked about it, I just was gutted, because I just wanted to do that quilt pattern. But that's another video. So I had been online Googling Luminaries. And one of the most beautiful images that I found was a shot of, and we'll show it to you, of the luminaries in a driveway at dusk or twilight. And in the same set of Google images was I guess it's a show, maybe a movie, Don't know. Didn't actually care enough to click on it and find out. But it's like a movie poster. And the name of the show is Luminaries. And the sky is that gorgeous dusk wash of peach, rose, fuchsia, magenta, red violet, and periwinkle. It's that gorgeous sunsetty kind of sky. And I thought that was so funny, those two things put together, because in my mind's eye, luminaries are white and yellow. And once it gets totally dark outside, that's true. But until then, it really is this warm, rosy, kind of peachy oranges and peachy pinks. And then if it's twilight, the edges of the bag are actually kind of periwinkle. And I was inspired. And so I started putting my shirts together, despite the fact that we were going to ditch the quilt pattern. And this is what I came up with, which is what's in front of me. So I have this kind of golden yellow and a little micro gingham. This is a pink Oxford, and then this really pretty purple. My goodness. And I'm becoming a purple person. That original purple shirt from that, second video that we made? Oh my goodness. The legendary purple shirt. It has changed me. And then I found this shirt, and I had this idea that, somehow I would make this work. And in the quilt pattern, the Luminaries quilt pattern by Cotton and Joy, which, by the way, beautiful pattern. It has this, there's all this sashing. So it's mostly white with the colors of whatever fabric you choose. And then once we realized this is not going to work, we had to punt and go for what we wanted to do was do a similar quilt pattern, but something a little less time consuming, a little easier. And so we opted for Geo Gems by Quilty Love, and that's Emily Dennis. And you'll notice that does not look anything like the Luminaries. But we decided there's similar construction, so we're going to go with it. So we're going to take the white background from the Luminaries by Fran at Cotton and Joy and apply that over the Geo Gems and roll with it. And so I had these fabrics picked, and there was something about them that I did not like. And I really couldn't put my finger on it because it had the white background. Really what I wanted was that bright center. And that was kind of my starting place. So I'm going to get out the fabrics because I was like, this is not it. So I'm going to get out all my fabrics. Well, not all of them, a lot of my fabrics, and show you kind of where I went and where I landed. So here's the starting place. Here's a lot of the fabrics. And I'll just show you kind of what I did. I liked the orange, and so I saved that out. But this yellow did not seem right. This was too big of a jump from this pink to purple. And then this is so dark. And I thought, well, maybe I'll reserve that out for binding. And we needed 5 fabrics. And this was actually when we were still working under the Luminaries. So I kind of went through and did the it's not really here to here that's the problem. It's really here to here. So no, way too muted. Doesn't work here. I love that fabric. My goodness, that's a shirt. Y'all, that's a shirt. Love that fabric. It's very muted. And so I was hoping to find something that would bridge between orange and pink and the pink to the purple. And that to me really doesn't do it. And it's got the green in it, which kind of, I don't know, visually pulls away from the really pretty colorway. So then I went, oh, what about this? Okay, well, obviously that doesn't go there. It would go here, kind of. So it goes here because this is yellow, orange, red, pink. But that doesn't look right to me. And I do tend to kind of do a gradient by accident a lot of times. Some of that is the influence of my daughter, who loves a good gradient. And she says if it works in a gradient, it will work not in a gradient, meaning if you mix it all up on the quilt pattern. And she's right. So here's another one. I really entertained that idea of that because it's yellow, orange, reddish pink, pink, purple. And because of that white with the gingham, it makes it look lighter. So that was a consideration. But again, I really didn't feel like this was the problem. I felt like this was the problem. So I stumbled onto this and I was like, okay, like, but there was something about it that still wasn't right. I decided to just put that away. Like, we'll make that go away. So I'm going to put that off camera. And I decided, okay, I really kind of like that foursome there. But the yellow was getting to me. And then I tried this just because I had it. And I was like, no, that's better. This is actually more of this. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe the yellow is too golden, which actually is not the problem. But I thought I would try. So I have this kind of citron. And immediately it was like, no, really, really no. And then I have all these other yellows. So this is a shirt, which I like better, but there's a gigantic, look at that thread. That's not just lint picking. That's like a whole, unravel the whole shirt. It's very gray. And you're probably looking at that going, that's yellow, but it has a very strong light gray undertone. And so I felt like that didn't work. And then I pulled this back out. Oh, wait, that's the same yellow. And then I thought, what if I go golden? Ooh, no, terrible. Which, this is a color, by the way, this golden, that will surprise you. I put this recently in my flying home, the K facet and shirt quilt that's in the warm colors. And I won't tell you what I called this because it's really not very nice, but it's what you would find in the diaper of a baby. And it was so awful and ugly, but it was actually just that little bit of ugly was like perfect for that quilt. This, on the other hand, the orange is so peachy and blue that it's just really clashy with the golden. So I ditched that. And then I had these two. They're very light. They're very, very light. This one is a little bit warmer in tone. I don't know if you can see that. This one has just the slightest on the orangey yellow, and this has just the slightest on the greeny bluey yellow. Now, I know that sounds a little insane, but this one in person is just a little cooler. And this orange is not a yellowy orange. It's in that rosy color, and that's why it works with that pink so well. So I tried them both, and I'm back and forth with it, honestly, even still to this day. And then I went back to my shirt stash. I have shirts that I have not broken down. It's a terrible trait. And I found this gorgeousness, which was actually a shirt that was a gift from a viewer and now patron. And I love that print so much. Just love it, love it, love it. And I don't know, there was something about it that still didn't work. And as I was running these fabrics through the gauntlet, I had them laying on my table, just like this. And I realized that what was happening, these are really, with the exception of this one, which is shared, these are more vibrant. There's a stronger hue to it and darker. So they are darker in value. They're closer to a dark color, but they're also more vibrant. And so I went back to my stash. Here's an example of not vibrant. This is very muted and has a lot of gray, but check this out. Oh ho, lovely, and very much in that family. Now it's lighter, but it has a lot of intensity of color. I realize there's this thing that's happening here that's forming right in front of me where there's a darker and brighter and solid and more muted and mostly print. Okay, so while I was there, I pulled out this yellow. And now you can really see there's that gradient. So, and these colors make sense. That's a stepwise approach. So I pulled back in this one that I had formerly discharged, pulled my yellow out, and now I'm starting to really like this. Now, I looked for a print in this pink or something similar. I just happen to not have anything like that in my stash. This pink is very interesting because it's an Oxford cloth and it's dyed. I guess they're all dyed. All fabric is dyed, or it wouldn't be colored. But anyway, it has a heathered look. So it has almost like a hand-dyed look about it. So it is a little more pastel-y and kind of works with that orange gingham and then this fuchsia gingham or magenta, whatever you call that. And then this kind of more muted. So I realized what I had been working against and where the clash was happening in me was two things. I was trying to make a yellow work that wasn't the right yellow. And I was trying to blend prints that are a little more muted and a little lighter with very vibrant darks. Now you can do that, and there's a way to do that well, and it depends on the quilt pattern. So for example, I could put this and this together, and that's really, really pretty. But for this particular application, I knew I was going to have a white background, and I wanted the fabrics that I used to have really cohesive, tight colorway. So what was causing me consternation, if you will, was trying to force this into this and this and this. And it's two separate colorways, ultimately. Now, I might end up actually making two of these and doing this again becomes the binding. And here's this, which this works because it does bridge that. But you can see there just what's happening. And then because of the way the quilt pattern is actually laid out, it occurred to me that if I go this route, it has little snowball corners nested in the white background. And I can use my little yellows there as the accent. And so now it continues to have that colorway that is a little lighter, a little more muted, but it pulls back in that inspiration of the luminaries. And so I get my sky at dusk with my nod to luminary, even though we're not using the luminaries quilt pattern. And it seems like to me that really works. And I might, who knows? When the time comes to cut fabric is when we'll see. Or I'll make a practice block. And I'm a fan. I was not a fan originally of the practice block, but I really am now. I might do the slightly more blue-yellow with the slightly more warmer. And they're very close, by the way. So if you're not seeing that super clearly, it's okay. Even in person, they're very close. And I'll get that look that I want and have these two separate colorways. So since we're doing a little baby quilt, and since I want that soft evening light, that's almost like it's a beautiful rainbow, but that's not really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for subtle shifts in color as opposed to radical shifts in color. And so that's where I have landed. Have I made it? No. Do I need to get right on it? Yes, I do, if I'm going to get it together. And of course, Jennifer has already put together the whole quilt top. Just divine. And it is so pretty. Now, she has decided to arrange her blocks differently than I probably will. And her colors don't exactly match my colors, which is actually has been freeing that I finally let myself go of that particular limitation. When I was trying to force myself into that box, it was not working. And sometimes that will happen when you're trying to shop your stash, or if you're working with your scraps and trying to really conserve and not buy new fabrics. Sometimes you just have to, ease off a little bit and go, okay, what if I rethought this and I didn't do my original view of it? And to that point, I want to just mention Erica from Kitchen Table Quilting just this week had something on Instagram where she put all her stuff up on the design wall, and there were some pieces that she really didn't like the way it looked. And in her Instagram reel, she mentioned that because she wasn't happy with it, she switched out. She made some new blocks and put them in and was far happier with it and glad she made the change. And she made the statement, this is not about perfection. It's about being happy with what I make. And that resonated so much with me. These colorways, they are so close. And I could have done either one or some combination of both, and it would have been absolutely fine. But I wanted to be really happy with it. And it's worth it for me to take that extra little bit of time, rethink it, mix it up a little bit, back off of myself a little bit so that I'll be happy with it, because I'm going to spend hours of my precious time working on this. And when I get it done, I want to really like it. And so I invite you to do the same. If you're working with a colorway and you just don't love it and you're not happy with it, take some time, pull out your stash, root through it, mix it all around on your table, and maybe you can come up with something that makes you really happy. Thanks for coming along with me today when I showed you my fabric pull. I hope it's been helpful or inspirational or challenging in some way to you, and that it gives you some excitement about a new project that you may be facing. I'm Kathy Martin. This is the Catbird Quilts. Thanks so much for watching.